Welcome back to my channel. I'm Joe with Smokin Joe's BBQ. On today's video, I'm going to be smoking a brisket on a very special Weber Kettle, the 70th edition of the Weber Kettle. But I'm going to be using an attachment that's going to turn that Weber Kettle into an offset smoker. Stay tuned. All right, let's get into this brisket. I am starting with a USDA prime brisket. So I'm just gonna take it out of the package and trim it up just a little bit. All right, so I just like to dry up the surface, makes it a little easier to trim. That way your knife is not slipping all over the place. Now you guys have seen me trim a ton of briskets, but if this is your first time to my channel, hit that subscribe button and feel free to watch this entire trim. For those of you guys that already know how to trim a brisket, you can definitely fast forward or never hurts to watch. So I just took the decal off there, get around this point off a little bit. Now I do save all of my trimmings for sausage making. Now if you guys do not make sausage, you can definitely save your trimmings for beef stew, maybe a carne guisada, those kind of things, okay? Just take that oxidized edge off. Now there's a little bit of silver skin and a little bit of fat on the top, but quite honestly, that's not gonna bother me. So I'm just gonna leave that alone. Let's flip this brisket over. Oh man, we have a big old gouge right here. And sometimes you guys will get this, but again, just try to do your best to fix that. So I'm gonna remove the small mohawk. And now we do have quite a bit of fat right here, so I'm gonna take off a good amount. By the way, this fillet knife is from Delstrong. This is their Valhalla. I believe it's a 6.5 inch, maybe even a 7-inch fillet knife. You can check them out at the link below. A little bit more fat here. All right, so this brisket is a little thin right here. So I'm gonna round it off and I'm gonna remove a lot of this thin meat right here, okay? All right, just a little bit more fat right here. All right, that looks good right there. Let's go ahead and season this bad boy up. I'm gonna be using mustard as a binder. I know there's a lot of people out there that don't believe in binders, that think the mustard gives the brisket a strange flavor, but trust me, it does not. I smoke thousands of briskets and I use mustard as a binder on every single one of them and have never had one issue. All right, so as far as the rub, I'm gonna be using this primetime seasoning from PS Seasoning. This stuff is absolutely amazing on beef. It's got garlic, pepper, butter, I mean everything you want on a brisket. Just add a good layer. I'm gonna top that off with a little bit more 16 mesh black pepper, because I love black pepper on brisket. I mean, who doesn't, right? Pat that in. Let's flip her over. Mustard. A good layer of primetime seasoning. Don't forget your edges. And a good coating of 16 mesh black pepper. All right, just like that. I'm gonna let the rub sweat in for about 20 minutes. Meanwhile, let's go outside and fire up that Weber Kettle, and I'll show you guys that Flame Tech Grills attachment. Stay tuned. All right, so we're outside of my Weber Kettle, and look at this beauty. This is the 70th edition Weber Kettle. It's got some really nice badging. I am really loving this right here. It reminds me of those old 1950s and 60s cars with those big emblems on the hood right there. It's got some really nice handles. Now these handles are not wood, they're made out of plastic, but that's gonna make them last obviously a lot longer than that. So let's go ahead and open this up. So when I first got this 70th edition Weber Kettle, I told myself that I would never cook on it, but I had a change of heart. This is gonna be the one and only cook on this 70th edition Weber Kettle. Now I don't know if you guys can still get these or not, but if you can, get one. These things are beautiful. All right, so here's a Flame Tech Grills attachment that I was telling you guys about earlier. So essentially what this is gonna do, it's gonna separate your coals from the meat. So I also have a slow and sear, but to be honest with you, it does not come with this drip pan right here. This one does come with a drip pan, and again, you have a lot more space to add more charcoal. That means that you won't have to add charcoal throughout your cook. So this Flame Tech Grills attachment is only $69.99. I purchased it on Amazon. Check out the link below and grab yourself one of these. If you were to purchase this from S&S, I'm talking about the drip pan itself and the slow and sear, you're gonna pay over $210. This is only $69.99, and it's constructed of really nice thick steel. If you wanted to, you can definitely add some water or some wine, something to add some moisture to your protein. I'm not gonna be adding any moisture, but I am gonna be covering this up with foil. That's gonna make it a lot easier to clean. All right, so there we go. I'm gonna position it this way so you guys can have a better view at it. Now, even with the foil, you can add some water to this pan. It's not gonna bother it whatsoever. All right, so I'm gonna be adding some Kingsford Blue Charcoal on one of these corners right here. I'm gonna rake these to one side right here. And again, these are just standard Kingsford Blue Charcoal briquettes. I have about 20 briquettes right there. Now, the thing that I like most about this Flame Tech Grills attachment is that it allows you to have a lot more cooking space. Look at this, I have maybe 3/4 of the Weber kettle in cooking space. That allows me to smoke a really large brisket if I wanted to. All right, so I'm gonna light up the charcoal using my grill gun from Grill Blazer. All right, those coals are lit. That only took 2 minutes. Now, if you guys have a charcoal basket that you use to light up your charcoals, you can definitely use that. I don't like using that because I want to cook right now, not 30 minutes from now. But again, you can use that, just light it up and put those coals, those hot coals, on one side of the Weber kettle. All right, so I'm going to be using some of these cooking chunks from Gourmet Wood Products. This is a fairly new product for them. So if you guys are a competition cook or just a backyard cook, these chunks are absolutely amazing. You can find these at Academy Sports and Outdoors. Look at this nice solid chunk. So I'm going to put some of these chunks at the very bottom. I'll show you guys how I do this. I'm going to top this off with some more Kingsford Blue Charcoal. Look at that. That is a ton of charcoal that I can put on this side right here. So I'm going to add a little bit more chunks on the top right here. Remember, your grate still has to go on there, so you try to use these flat pieces. All right, so I'm going to install my grate. All right, so I'm going to position the bottom vent to halfway open. So I'm going to put the lid on it, let this warm up to 275 degrees, and I'll bring you guys right back. All right, so it's been about 10 minutes, and we are already up to temperature. Now, unfortunately, if I put the vent over the protein the way it's supposed to be set up, this temp gauge is going to go right above the charcoals, which is going to give us a false reading. All right, so to combat the issue with the thermometer, I'm going to be using my meter probe right here. That's going to monitor the internal temperature and also the temperature of the cooking chamber. So I'm going to close the lid. I do have the exhaust vent again at 1/4 of the way open, and it's right above the brisket. So I'm going to monitor the temperature of the Weber kettle for a good 20 minutes, and if I have to, I'll adjust the intake or the exhaust to get to 275 degrees. Stay tuned. All right, so it's been 4 hours since we loaded up our brisket. Now, this is the first time I opened this lid. Now, the temperature was running at 290 degrees, so I just let it ride at 290 degrees. Right now, it's running at 275, right where I wanted it to be. But again, for the first 4 hours, 290 degrees. So let's take a look at it. All right, so we have a really nice dark bark, and the brisket did shrink quite a bit. Look at that. Beautiful bark. So I'm going to take this inside and wrap it up, and I'll bring you guys right back. All right, so I've got the brisket all wrapped up. Just used butcher paper, didn't add anything into the butcher paper, no tallow, no spritz, no nothing. In fact, I have not spritzed this brisket whatsoever. I did reinstall my meter right here, if you guys can see that. As far as charcoal, we are probably not even halfway done with the charcoal. I honestly don't think we're going to use it all, but we got plenty of smoke still. So I'm going to go ahead and install the lid. So as far as the adjustments on the vents, I do have the bottom vent at 1/4 of the way open, and the top vent may be 1/16 of the way open. I mean, you have very little smoke coming out of there. And again, that was giving me 290, but right now it's settling at 275 degrees. So I will see you guys as soon as this brisket is ready. Stay tuned. All right, our brisket is ready, and the total cook time was 6.5 hours. Now it has been resting right here on my counter for about 1 hour and 20 minutes, and right now it's sitting at 165 degrees internal. I do have my meter probe still in the brisket. Just pulled it out there. So it's really important to monitor the temperature while your brisket is resting. So I'm just going to pull this brisket out of the wrapper and see what we've got. The aroma is amazing, number one. And by the way, that attachment from FlameTech Grills did an absolute amazing job, kept my grill nice and clean, and it worked perfect for this cook. All right, so here's our brisket. Now we started with an 11-pound brisket. Obviously, once I trimmed it up, we probably ended up with a 9-pound brisket, maybe 9.5 pounds. So we've got maybe 4 or 5 pounds right here, and that is a perfect size for Weber Kettle. Although with that FlameTech grill attachment, you could really smoke a really large brisket with that, maybe even a 17-pound brisket, and still have plenty of room. So let's take a few slices. This piece right here, that tip of the flat, is one of my favorite pieces of brisket right there. Slicing beautifully. Man, that fat cap rendered nicely. All right, let me turn the brisket. Slice it right in the middle. Let me give you that money shot. Look at that. She's juicy. Really nice and juicy. Look at that. I am really happy with this. I gotta tell you, this brisket smells absolutely amazing. I cannot wait to give it a try. But look at that. Really nice and juicy. Let's see if it pulls apart. Oh yeah. Let's give this bad boy a taste. All right, let's give this brisket a try and see how we did. But check that out. Nice and juicy. Looking mighty delish. Here we go. That is a good tasting brisket. It's got a good backyard flavor. It's kind of in between a grilled and a smoked brisket. So here's my favorite piece of the brisket. That end of the flat, that front piece, has bark all the way around. Look at that. That rub from PS Seasoning with the extra pepper is money. Now let's try a piece of that point. Look at that, nice and juicy as well. Oh yeah. Big bite time. That flavor is hard to beat. So good. Man, I gotta tell you, that 70th anniversary edition of the Weber Kettle with the FlameTech grill, with the seasonings that we used, is a match made in heaven. This brisket is savage. I hope you guys enjoyed this Weber Kettle brisket. Don't forget to check out FlameTech Grills and thank them for sponsoring today's video. I am going to leave a link down below on where you can buy the FlameTech Grill attachment for your Weber Kettle as well. If this is your first time to my channel, do me a favor, hit that subscribe button. And if you enjoyed this video, give me a thumbs up. Until next time, Joe with Smokin Joe's Pit BBQ. See ya.